Hey, well, thanks for stopping in a Nite Shift video. My name is James, and today I'm joined by this guy over here.
Danny.
Hey, Danny, how are we doing tonight?
Super fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're going to be reviewing a movie tonight.
Yes.
We're going to be reviewing the movie Rabbid, the 2019 release.
Raving, Rabbid.
Anytime I was trying to look up information about this movie, all I got were the stupid Rabbids from Ubisoft. Frickin' Rayman. It was the worst. But I will say, side story, when the Wii first came out, and that was one of the only games available, I stood in line outside in November for 13 hours to get a Nintendo Wii.
You know, I think we all have our Nintendo Wii horror stories. It was such a big, cool thing, and then every time I think about what I went through to get one, and what I went through to get one and failed.
See, I did not fail. I got mine because I was the first person in line.
Yep.
But that's because I showed up 13 hours early.
You know, where I was from, 13 hours was not early enough.
We had people that would show up, and they'd like count because like the management knew how many they had, so they at least were kind enough to be like, "Hey, we only have 23 or whatever."
Yeah, no. Nope.
So like,
you didn't get any of that. It was like 4:30 a.m. and they come out with the tickets, and it's like, "Oh, sorry, we're out." Bye.
But yeah, we would have people show up, and they'd be like, "Oh, looks like they still have some." And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." And they're like, "We drove like from like 3 hours away, and we just stopped at every Walmart on the way."
Yep.
Until we found a place that might have one.
Yep.
Crazy. So there's your
Rabbid.
There's your Wii horror
Rabbid.
story. We're talking about the movie Rabbid. This is a 2019 Canadian horror film directed and co-written by Jen and Sylvia Soska, also known as the Soska sisters. It stars Laura Vandervoort, Ben Hollingsworth, and Phil Brooks. It is a remake of the 1977 David Cronenberg film of the same name.
I didn't know that at all.
Yep, it is a Cronenberg remake. This is the guy who did The Fly.
Do another one.
I'm losing it. He does a lot of body horror.
Okay.
Gross, slimy bodies. He's really into that shit.
Gotcha.
Even you watched Rick and Morty, right?
I have seen Rick and Morty.
They do that whole thing. I think it's in like the first episode of season 2 where they accidentally turn everybody into Cronenberg creatures, and they call them that. They're like, "Oh, it's a planet full of Cronenbergs."
I have not seen that one, but I would love to.
Well, they accidentally turn the entire planet into Cronenbergs, and then they have to go find another universe where they did not do that. And then they kill themselves and bury themselves and then take the role of that Rick and Morty.
Beautiful.
It's pretty fucking dark, actually.
Beautiful.
Spoilers for
Rick
think
and
season
Morty.
2 of Rick and Morty. So
Raven Rabbits.
sorry.
Okay, so it's a remake.
It's a remake of a 77 movie.
Okay.
I have not seen the original.
That was my next question.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly how much. Cronenberg, I think, also did The Brood, which was a zombie movie where all the children turn into zombies.
Ew.
I think that was Cronenberg. If not, sorry. So we're going to get into the back of the box. What happens when you realize that to achieve your dreams, you have to live a nightmare? Rose is a quiet, unassuming woman in her looks and actions. Her dream is to become a famous designer in the fashion world, but a terrible accident leaves Rose scarred beyond recognition. She seeks out a radical, untested stem cell treatment. The treatment is nothing short of a miracle, and Wallflower Rose turns into the belle of the ball.
Belle of the ball.
It all seems too good to be true. She is now everything she wanted to be, but everything in life comes at a price. And this newfound perfect life is no exception.
It's a great description of the movie that we just watched.
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
All right. What's the movie called? Rabbid.
Rabbid.
To Rayman, Raving Rabbids.
To Rayman.
Clink, I forgot a drink. All right. Rayman Raving Rabbids, Part 6.
Part 6. Yep.
We watched Rabbid,
Uh-huh.
the 2019 one. And we have thoughts. I'm going to start off with some trivia. The producer of this film, Paul Lalonde?
That sounds right.
I don't know. Everybody in this movie's French-Canadian. It's hard as hell.
Not Gunther.
Not Gunther.
Not Gunther.
Actually, the actor probably was. Who knows? But anyway, the producer is actually most known for his Christian films. He is the producer of the Left Behind movies,
Okay.
including the old ones with Kirk Cameron and the new one with Nick Cage.
Ew. Okay.
This is his first non-religious produced movie.
Oh, wow, I never would have guessed.
I know!
That's good for him.
I guess.
Branching out.
Seems strange. There's an estimated budget of about $5 million on this film, which makes sense. It's not a super expensive movie, but I mean, there are a lot of effects that needed to be used. So that's a pretty decent amount. So it was directed and co-written by the Soska sisters. You know anything about these gals at all?
Not one single thing at
They
all.
are kind of icons in the horror community.
Okay.
They also made that movie American Mary, which was real popular for a while back. It was on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
I did not see it.
I did not see it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was real hot. A lot of people liked it. They also are really well known for getting like banned from Twitter or something like that for like posting horror movie
real
shit.
Tough guys.
Yeah, well, it's actually become kind of a thing. We have become a bit of a subculture, if you will, that the PC elite of the Twitters and the Instagrams and the Facebooks kind of look down on a little bit.
Oh.
And they were kind of the turning point of that.
Okay.
They would just post like horror movie stuff and like things that they're working on, like really gory photos and things like that. And they got like super banned on Twitter one time.
Yeah.
And like everybody lost their shit. Because I mean, what they're posting is not like bad. It's just fucking effects or gore or whatever. Like it's not like
doesn't appeal to your typical Twitterer. I get you. Have we been banned yet?
we have not been banned, but
Something to
there
work
is a lot of kind of intrigue, I guess, about, or suspicion. Don't be suspicious about the algorithm for Facebook/Instagram. So right now, listener, if you were to take out your phone and open up your Instagram app and search for the hashtag horror, a little disclaimer pops up. And it says, hey, a lot of people that have searched for this need, like, mental help. Are you sure this is something you want to see? Or would you rather call the suicide prevention hotline?
Really? Does it say that?
It doesn't go quite that far, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close.
Okay.
I have my phone. We can figure this out right now. I have no problem with taking a couple extra seconds to do this exact same thing, and I will read it to you verbatim so that I'm not being an asshat about it.
Mental health problems? That
Says something about that.
Oh my
Something like
goodness.
that. Let's see. Here we go. Content advisory. Please be advised. These posts may contain graphic content. For information and support with suicide or self-harm, please tap on Learn More. And then you have the options get support, show posts, or cancel. So that's also kind of funny because this is a mistype in their coding. It says if you need help, tap on Learn More, and that's not an option. It says get support.
Fix it, Twitter.
Not
you
Learn More.
idiots.
Freaking stupid coders.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I wouldn't sit down and watch a horror movie with just anybody. But
I think I understand where the heart of this message is, but I definitely do think it comes off a little snooty.
yeah,
Like, oh, if you were looking for hashtag horror, you're probably trying to kill yourself. Like, it's not a good look.
yeah,
You know, it's just not a good look. And but the thing that it begs the question of, are they filtering all of our content? You know,
Yeah.
anyone who's posting about anything horror related,
spooky. Yeah.
like, is the algorithm just trashing your shit and no one's able to see it unless they specifically come to your page?
Yeah. And I feel like it's all getting dumped into a real wide bucket too. Even like the Evil Dead stuff is like super goofy humor, horror kind of stuff like that.
Yep. So a lot of us in the
yourself.
community, if you guys didn't know, we don't really use hashtag horror anymore because it's basically a dumping ground.
Yeah.
So we've created other little things here and there. I mean, one that's actually really popular is to post something horror related and do hashtag not horror.
I was going to make that joke just now, but that's
we
a real
do that.
thing. Okay,
we
great.
definitely do that. But then also you can just make it hashtag horror movies, hashtag scary movies, what's your favorite scary movie, all these kind of, little plays off of it. Because none of those get the disclaimer that just hashtag horror gets. Yep.
I bet there was just one real terrible post that somebody put hashtag horror in.
Maybe.
Ruined it for all of us.
Maybe. But anyway, so the Soska sisters are kind of known for that. I would say that, and excuse me, community, for saying this if you think that it's super fucking dumb, but I would say they remind me of like an Eli Roth type figure. They make some movies that are pretty gruesome typically and are obviously big fans of gore, but I don't really like a lot of their movies, but they're just like really present in the horror sphere.
Okay.
Which is like who Eli Roth was, like, 15 years ago.
Yeah. He's out there, but meh.
He's out there, he's making stuff. I'm not really watching it. Some people like it, but like...
It's like James Gunn.
But I like some of James Gunn stuff.
Oh, okay.
James Gunn produced Brightburn.
That's true. Great movie.
You're my Brightburn guy. Come on, man.
My number three.
All right. So yeah, that's about it. I have the Rotten Tomatoes rating, but we're gonna wait until after we give our ratings. I've never done this before. I don't want the Rotten Tomatoes rating
to affect
your rating because I mean I already know it, but whatever. So this movie, again, it's a remake, and we haven't seen the original, so that kind of puts us in a different spot than probably a lot of people who are viewing it. But some people are in the same boat as we are, and it is essentially a zombie movie.
Essentially.
With some Lovecraftian kind of themes in there as well. Although in a more Lovecraftian way, rather than your typical zombie film of like really focusing on like the big story, it focuses very much on the small story just about Rose, who is kind of, for lack of a better term, the alpha zombie in this scenario.
Yes.
She's kind of the first one infected, and it seems that her doing things is what's infecting other people, and if she would just not swap spit or blood with people, then maybe there would be no zombies.
Yep. Yes.
So I set it downstairs. I feel like this movie takes all of the typical zombie movie tropes and it throws them out the window. And it says, we're not going to be a zombie movie. Even though it's a movie kind of sort of about zombies, we're not a zombie movie. And that's a good thing because then it's not like tropey and cliche and cheesy, right?
Sure.
But then I feel like it also kind of threw out all of the fun parts of zombie movies when it did that. And instead we have this much more like deep, like emotional story about Rose, and we're supposed to just like really care. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I love zombie movies. I don't really want to care about any of the characters in a zombie movie. Who cares?
I mean, I won't say that I don't ever care about a character in a zombie movie. Like The Walking Dead, you get to know those characters and care about them, and it's still...
That's an interesting thought.
It's still zombies, but the story that revolves them, I don't care about every single character in The Walking Dead. I could give two hoots about all certain characters in The Walking Dead.
The only character you should have cared about was Tyrese, and they killed him off way too early.
Way too early, but... Please go on.
Yeah, so I just felt like we do get a couple great gore moments. That's what the Soska sisters are known for. They can make a good gory scene. Some of them are a little over the top and almost kind of silly, but that's fine. I like that stuff. That stuff can be very fun. But I feel like they stripped all of the other fun from the film to where I'm supposed to not be in the headspace of, hey, I'm having fun watching this. And I'm supposed to be like, oh my God, look how disturbing that is. And just very few times did we get to that point. We did get there about how gross and disturbing it is, because Rose, being like alpha zombie,
Yep.
also is like a Lovecraftian monster at the same time. So
Yep.
like weird tentacles come out of her armpits and shit. They don't shit.
You don't know that.
Yeah, but when you made the sound effect, it just really sounded like my sentence was different than what I meant it to be.
She did not poop out of her armpit with her tentacles.
So that was cool. It was different. But then everyone that she infects basically become 28 days later, like Rabbid infected.
Yeah. Yes.
Essentially.
Yes.
So we get a couple really cool scenes in like the hospital of like Rabbid infected, police shooting him down. We get this really almost like shocking scene of a guy who's been infected coming into the hospital dressed as Santa Claus,
Yeah.
but he's a zombie.
That was I feel like there's something deeper there that maybe we just didn't get, or they were trying to troll us with. I don't know, but
I don't know if
it
the
was
Santa
weird.
Claus suit has anything to do with anything, but they shoot him right away, and then the doctor, who's kind of been treating all of these rabid patients, says, "You just shot a man who came here looking for help.
Right.
He was sick."
Stands in defense of him.
Yeah, and like I don't know, like I thought that was kind of cool. Like I don't think we see that very often of like almost this like good Samaritan physicians. What's the thing the doctors do?
The Hippocratic Oath?
That one, the Hippocratic Oath of
Yep.
like, even
no
if
harm.
these people seem like monsters, it is my job to help them because they are sick.
Yep.
And so I think that could have opened up for a really good conversation. But we only really see that doctor character
Very,
in like 2 or 3
very
scenes.
quick. I thought
he's probably in the
yeah.
movie for 10 minutes at most.
I thought it might take this weird quarantine sideline story, and he would be like this big perpetuator of that. And nope, he's in like 2 side scenes in the hospital. It's like, yeah, it's like rabies.
And that's the problem, is I loved where they were kind of going with him, and I'm like, this could be an interesting sociological discussion. And then it's like, no, because that's not what this movie is about, folks.
No.
This movie is just about little old Rose, who was the ugly duckling and became a beautiful swan, and then
Just wrecked everything for everyone.
yeah.
Just started eating people with her tentacles.
I'm not kidding. Like, she pulls up her arm, and like a hole opens up, and a big 2 or 3 foot long tentacle shoots out of her armpit.
Starts giving hickeys to everybody.
It's weird as hell.
Didn't like that.
And those are the parts where like the grossness was close. Like, and so I would say my biggest problems with this movie, it's not as much fun as it could have been, but that's fine. You want to make a more serious movie. It wastes way too much of my time. By the time she's like really becoming a monster, we're in the 3rd act.
Yeah. It's deep. It gets real deep.
The whole 1st act, she hasn't even gotten in an accident yet.
Yeah. The first act was too long.
So
it was
slow.
so drawn out.
So slow. Like, and that's what I was telling the guys when we were watching it, is just that like I've typed out the back of the box description today. We haven't even completed what it says on the back of the box yet, and we've been watching for 30 minutes. Like, get to the point. Like, the whole point of this movie is she becomes a monster. So, like, let us see her as a monster.
Yep.
It was just, and it wasn't like this, like, slowly building up to this. Like, it took us forever just to get to the initial crash, and then she tries to like live life with a big old deformed face for a while, and then she decides to get this plastic surgery to become beautiful, which ends up making her beautiful but also a monster.
Yeah. I feel like the fashion aspect of it is supposed to make me. It's supposed to.
Oh
be
yeah,
like
by the
that
way, she's a fashion designer.
fashion, and it's supposed to make you think, oh, I'm this ugly lady and I'm in fashion, and it's like, oh, I'm surrounded by beautiful people all the time. There's supposed to be that deeper meaning to it, but it's like, I don't care. And then I feel like by the 2nd act, all it's really used for is to say, hey, I'm going nuts and I'm eating people, and look, I made this really pretty of a dress, picture of a dress, and I drew in blood, but you don't know it's blood, but it's blood, and Gunther loves it, of course, because it's in blood.
And then we got to make the dress, and the lady wearing the dress turns into a zombie. And we were all prepared because we're like, this could be pretty cool. This crazy lady wearing this weird high fashion bird dress turns into a zombie.
Yeah.
She had this big old metal like shredder mask on.
Shredder.
And then she becomes a zombie and she takes the shredder mask off. I was like, oh.
I really thought that was part of the dress because it was going to play a part in a scene later.
Yep.
And it was just gone.
Just gone.
Uh,
I wanted to see her like trying to eat someone while she has the shredder mask on and it's just struggling and the shredder mask is just like puncturing into the person's face.
yeah.
I wanted something like that.
Or like just barely saving somebody from the bites because it's
yeah,
red.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I thought it was going to be more of a muzzle kind of thing.
Like,
and
like
it's
she
gonna,
tried to attack her friend who designed it, and
Right.
it's like, oh no, you can't get me, but I see you.
Yeah, but it just disappeared.
Yeah, she just took it off.
Yeah, fashion.
Fashion Vogue. Okay. Final thoughts. I think the movie could have been more fun, but I don't hate it. I actually enjoy quite a bit of it. I think there are great gore moments. I think that all of the moments that are focusing on this potentially catastrophic world-ending event are great. I like the zombie movie parts. I don't really care for Rose's story. I guess she probably the actress probably did a great job. I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I put the movie at I'll give it a thumbs up. Still, I think it's worth watching. I do think it's worth watching. And in a world of movies that kind of suck sometimes, like give it a shot. I did pay $6.99 to rent it for one night on Vudu because it's still in theaters, and I would not recommend watching it that way. But that's just me. I'm gonna put this bad boy at about a 54%.
Okay.
I think it's worth watching, but there's probably way better things that you should watch first. Also, as someone who has not seen the original, I'm guessing you should probably watch the original first. And that's, if anything, this movie kind of makes me want to see the original one because it probably didn't have all the weird Soska sister stuff that they inject. I do like David Cronenberg as a creator. I would be willing to give the original a shot.
Yes, this movie definitely makes me curious for the original now that I know that there is an original and this is a remake. But I feel like there is a lot of crap with the fashion job and the backstory for Rose and all that jargon. But
You're not going to Paris.
I made the comment, this is pretty much Devil Wears Prada if you took out all the zombie parts. Gunther is Meryl Streep. I thought this movie had a lot of pretty upsetting scenes. The one that was probably the stupidest but also oddly upsetting was the scene where she starts kind of turning more and she goes into her refrigerator and it has a ridiculous amount of just random produce in it because she's a vegetarian. And at the very bottom of the refrigerator, of course, there's one weirdly packed, super bloody package of meat.
So odd. Because she was staying with her friend at the time who
loves me.
not a vegan.
She loves me. Or the one that is getting eaten or the one who's eaten.
Yep.
Okay, good one. And she tears it open and she pulls out this clearly fake piece of plastic meat, discards it, and just starts drinking all the blood.
It's hilarious. As people who have seen Raw, as a guy who really liked Raw and really handled this idea of like cannibalism or just like the unyielding urge to indulge in meat or flesh.
Yes, blood.
And Raw handled it so well, and this movie did not.
It still though had that
feeling.
It had that feeling.
I'm more just talking about the effects of like the way the meat looked. Like it looked like a cartoon T-bone steak,
like
just dipped in Jello,
like a cartoon piece of meat you buy from a Halloween store.
Yeah,
it looked really stupid. But what it made me think of was tearing open a somewhat bloody piece of steak from the grocery store and just trying to sip down all the oozing blood inside of it. And it's the least cannibalistic part of the movie.
Yeah.
But it still was like,
it's gross.
I don't like that. And it was probably the lowest budgeted scene of the whole film.
You ever heard of salmonella?
Right. That's really what everybody's
cow
getting
disease?
affected. Mad cow salmonella.
Botulism.
Rabies. That's just a front. So that scene really, bleh. And a few other scenes. I think they looked kind of silly, but they were still a little stressful and were upsetting. I really like the scene where it cuts back to the guy that she bites the lip of in the pool.
Yes.
And he just starts going.
He's like a soap opera actor.
Yeah, nuts on his
going-
soap operas. Oh, soap opera.
Soap
scene.
operas.
Soap opera.
Yep. He starts going ballistic on
He's like,
set.
hey, I'm a soap opera guy, and I don't like this other guy. And it was a kind of a slow build of him just, I'm hot, and he's kind of going through the phases of it. And,
Yeah, that was cool.
And just kind of cuts in. And you don't really get that with a lot of the other people that get infected throughout the movie.
Right.
You get like an instantaneous monster out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think the worst turn was the guy at the end.
In the alley.
Yeah. The black guy in the alley that attacks her at the end, who gets bit by the armpit tentacle thing.
So what happened to him from the point where he got up in the alley and looked fairly normal?
Yeah.
To when he burst through the door and like his
and he's a fudging deadite
his
monster.
chest is falling out of his body. I don't even explain what happened.
That didn't
his
happen
rib
to
cage is falling out
anybody
of
else
his
that we
chest.
saw. That didn't happen to one other single person. The guy in the hospital, just his face was flapping because he got bit in the face.
Right.
And the nurse, who was ridiculous, the nurse was just...
Oh yeah, the nurse in this movie is wearing like those little like paper boat hats like nurses did in the 40s, and I'm like, what year is it?
Yeah. So... all that, all things considered, I actually would put this closer to a 76%.
Look at you.
A 76%.
Okay.
I think it was. I think the story of Rose was stupid. I think the fact that she's the first person out of this clinic that's obviously had other people in it, and she's the one who is the infector.
Well, I guess we didn't really touch on that. So it turns out that like this plastic surgeon guy like is doing all of this kind of on purpose. Like that's where it gets very Lovecraftian, and it's just like he's basically Herbert West or you know, even I forget the guy's name, but the guy in From Beyond, who's like the idea of exceeding the human experience and evolving into the next level of evolution is going to be these crazy tentacle monsters.
Yeah.
And he believes that he did it to his wife. He's trying to find a way to perfect it.
Yeah.
And it just seems that like for whatever reason it worked really well with Rose.
Yes. I guess. I just assume that most of what they're doing in this clinic is pretty similar between all the people. Even the soap opera guy who was there for whatever reason.
I don't know.
They met at the clinic, and
Maybe
she's
if
infected
people
and
haven't
he's
had
not.
enough like damage done, he couldn't like, you know, he couldn't like justify. I ripped your entire body apart and put fucking monsters in you.
Yeah,
Like,
most people are just going there for the Botox.
yeah, get like a nip tuck.
Yep. A little lip fill. Yep. So okay, I can deal with that. He's waiting for just the right person to try this thing on, and the whole red nunnery outfit thing during the operation.
I don't know why they made that so creepy. That was
You
unnecessary.
need 8 people in the room to put
and
on
made
some.
the scene 5 minutes longer than necessary as well.
Yep.
Just pad the freaking running time some more.
Just look. They got 2 clamps. They had 2 people and in 1 clamp each. You use the clamps to put the little stem cells on top of her face, and then he just massaged it on there, and everybody else just watched. And that was the whole operation. I assume. Still liked a lot of parts of it. I still think it. And I was trying to compare it to another like living zombie movie, and 28 Days Later is pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's like people are getting infected with a kind of rabies sort of infection and just going ballistic. But I liked it.
Cool. All right. So that's a 75?
76.
76.
76 thumbs up.
76. Thumbs up. 2 thumbs ups.
2 thumbs up.
All right. Well, that about does it for us here tonight on the Night Shift for Night Shift Video. My name is James, and this is
Danny.
And we're just saying thanks for stopping in.
Thanks for stopping in.
You're not supposed to say it.
Thanks for leaving, because I need to go pick up my kid.
I'm supposed to say it.
This is Danny, and thanks for stopping in.